Flashbackers, Troy David Phillips here at Flashback Comics in Woodbridge, Virginia. This is another episode of Troy's Spotlight. Today I'm going to focus on Marvel's superhero teams in my spotlight. Marvel Comics, with a very, very rich history of superhero teams dating back from the 1940s with the All-Winter Squad, which featured Captain America, the Human Torch, the Submariner, the Wizard, Miss America. Rolling into the Marvel Age of Comics of the 1960s, where we have three primary teams. Now, Marvel's three teams are the Fantastic Four as their flagship, also known as Marvel's First Family, the Avengers, Marvel's A-list team, and the Uncanny X-Men, Marvel's team of teenage mutant misfits, all banded together for different reasons. In these three teams, it's three formulas that have worked for Marvel for their entire history for the most part. The Fantastic Four is a family of scientific adventurers. The Avengers are the top-tier heroes: Iron Man, Thor, the Hulk, Giant Man, later Captain America, later Hawkeye, the Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and more. But it's always Marvel's greatest heroes banded together to face menaces that no one hero could defeat alone. The X-Men are Marvel's mutant team. They are the misfits, the outsiders, and we have seen the evolution of the mutant prejudice, the mutant hysteria, the Mutant Registration Act, all through the history. So what I'm going to do is take it in reverse order, since I'm on the side of the store with the Uncanny X-Men, and just point out a couple of high points in their history. The X-Men began in 1963, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, with the original five: Cyclops, Angel, Iceman, Beast, and Marvel Girl, with Professor Xavier as the veteran leading the team from his wheelchair. The X-Men evolved through the years. They went through, many characterization developments, but it was in 1975 with Giant-Sized X-Men 1 when a new team, a more diverse cosmopolitan team, characters from all around the world, from Russia, from Ireland, from Africa, from Germany, brought together as the new X-Men team. At the helm of Chris Claremont, this team saw brand new heights, but we also saw deep characterizations, even with the supervillains, as we saw the very Catholic Nightcrawler, the gentle giant Colossus. We got a lot of characterization out of Wolverine. We also saw, however, characters like Magneto evolve tremendously. We saw the inner Magneto as a concentration camp survivor, a veteran of World War II, and into his more violent take on mutants versus humans, but at the same time, good characterization. Magneto, the X-Men, they came together. Magneto actually led the team for a brief time, headmastered the school with the New Mutants, the younger X characters, and so that brings us, up to date, where we now have the Uncanny X-Men in the more modern era. A schism, if you will. There are different schools, different headmasters of these schools, and the characters serve different roles, but they are still very much those characters on the outside. They are mutants striving for not so much mutant-human harmony anymore, but now for a mutant place in the world. They want peace, they want harmony, but they are ready to defend themselves, and this is covered a lot in the X-Men titles today. Uncanny X-Men, the X-Men, the Amazing X-Men, the All-New X-Men. There are many, many titles to choose from, each one focusing on different core groups of characters. So from the X-Men, I'm going to segue into the Uncanny Avengers, which blends the X-Men and the Avengers, and I'm going to talk about the Avengers for a couple of minutes. And now we're going to talk about Earth's mightiest heroes, the Avengers. Many of you have seen the Avengers movie. It is an incredible film, and it brings Marvel's cinematic characters, Iron Man, Thor, the Hulk, Captain America, together in one place. That's really the critical core element of the Avengers. Thor, former headliner of Journey into Mystery, the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man from Tales of Suspense, Giant Man and the Wasp, originally Ant-Man and the Wasp from Tales to Astonish, all brought together into this team, first to face Loki and then the Space Phantom. Ultimately, the Hulk would leave the group, team with the Submariner, the Avengers would fight Submariner. High action, and the characters themselves were always the number one heroes. They were the best in their respective fields. Later, Captain America came in as the heart and soul of the team, bringing that legendary status with him, having been the living legend of World War II. The Avengers would change as the main characters segued back to their own titles. Captain America stayed. Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and Hawkeye were brought in to round out the team. The Pyms, Goliath and the Wasp, came back. And the group would continue to evolve. The lineup would always be changing. New characters would come in, older characters would circulate out, popular characters would become mainstays, less popular characters would sort of just fade off to the side. The Avengers have always had a top list of talents. Originally in 1963, it was Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. It would later be Don Heck. We would see some artwork from, there's so many great artists on the Avengers. I can barely think of all of them. George Perez had an incredible run. John Byrne, John Buscema, Neil Adams. For everyone that ever worked on the Avengers, always one of Marvel's high-line books. Always with their best characters, the greatest archer, the fastest, the strongest, the smartest, etc. So behind me, I have a sampling of some of the early Avengers from the late Silver Age period, and we could see characters like Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch with a Magneto crossover. We can see Goliath. This is actually Clint Barton as Goliath. We could see the giant-sized Avengers, which brings Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, and the Vision to the team, focusing also, too, on the World War II characters that I mentioned earlier. One of the strong points of the Avengers, again, is that it's always been the A-list characters. That's what brings this group together. They are heroes that want to be heroes. They are crime fighters. They are adventurers. They are Earth's primary line of defense. And you see them in the Kree-Skrull War. You see them in the Korvac Saga. You see them in the Secret Invasion. You see them in Infinity. When there is some overwhelming menace to be faced, the Avengers, many times led by Captain America, are right there in the forefront of this. This makes the Avengers a different sort of team than the X-Men, where the X-Men are outsiders banded together for their protection. The Avengers are that protection, and their organic differences bind them as a team as opposed to separating them. The Avengers historically have had a friendly working relationship with Marvel's third team. I saved them for last, but right here, people, right here. Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four, the flagship group of the Marvel Universe. Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, the Human Torch, and the Thing. These four characters, it is said, were brought together. They were created to offset DC Comics' Justice League. Stan Lee came up with these characters. He and Jack Kirby worked out their designs. Jack Kirby turned in some amazing work, and they were four characters that didn't even have costumes. They used their real names. They lived in a city right downtown. Everybody knew where they lived. They flew overhead, walked among us. They weren't apart. They weren't off in some, separate hidden fortress or hidden headquarters. They were right there in Manhattan. It wasn't until their third issue when they got their uniforms. We established the Baxter Building, the Fantastic Car. And the Fantastic Four, as scientific adventurers, have taken us into the negative zone, the microverse. They were the characters that met and turned back Galactus, befriended the Silver Surfer in the process. They were the first group to meet the Skrulls. They were the first group to meet the threat of the Kree. And they were the first group to befriend the Inhumans. So the Fantastic Four have also had a lot to offer to us over the very years, including this very cool shirt. The current series of the Fantastic Four is being done by a writer, James Robinson, and in his first two issues, he has established a very dynamic moving plot, kind of takes us into a cold open, and we're catching up as we go on. The uniform designs are kind of cool, but they haven't done the new red Fantastic Four t-shirts yet, so I have to wait to get them. But as soon as they have it, I'll have it. Hopefully you'll have it too. So there you have it. Marvel superheroes as teams, and you can find those teams at Flashback Comics. Come into the store and I'll be happy to go deeper into their histories, deeper into the individual characters, and I'll show you what I've got. Maybe I can help you fill some holes in your collection. It's what I look forward to doing. Until next time, this is Troy Spotlight, Flashback Comics, Woodbridge, Virginia, and thank you.